Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfalla.
And Ray Alfalla is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hello and welcome to the Simutec Motorsport TCR Winter Series live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside me is DJ Clark, and we are here at Okayama in Japan for the first round of the championship. DJ, we have already had the media day a couple of weeks ago for this championship, so we have a rough idea of what the pecking order is going to be like, but this is where it properly counts, this is where points count, and with such a short season as well for this championship, all these 3 races tonight are going to be absolutely pivotal.
Yeah, they really are, Sam. Drivers are going to have to be on their A game across the board as they're out currently qualifying right now. And at a tricky track like Okayama, which isn't exactly known for the best overtaking, I think that qualifying is going to be very, very key to get everything right around here.
For sure, we saw how tricky overtaking was back at Alton Park. Should be a bit more expansive around this Okayama circuit, but still certainly not easy on the tighter circuits we have on the iRacing service. And yeah, you can currently see, as you're saying, DJ, currently in qualifying, 4 minutes to go, and it's currently Martin's Crisp up on the pole position, albeit plenty of time for that to change later on. For those guys who didn't catch the media day a couple of weeks ago, we've got 3 20-minute races in store for you tonight. The first race grid will be based on qualifying, then the second race grid will be based on the finishing results of race 1, and then the third grid will be a random reverse grid between 6 and 12 places for race 3. So yeah, some reverse grids later on, but really you want to be up in those top places to help yourself in race 1 and race 2, as we ride on board with Jared Rainford, trying to navigate these tricky parts of the track, medium speed, long radius corners onto the back straight. He's currently in 8th place, but with potential to gain a little bit more. And he's just sitting behind at the moment, DJ, a driver ahead, trying to get a little bit of a draft. He won't be feeling much of that out there, but with the times being so close, any advantage that you can gain could be crucial.
Yeah, exactly, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see some drivers maybe playing around with that draft. Lower downforce in these TCR cars across the board means you're not going to really suffer as much from the aero wash as you would if you were running around here in an open wheeler, and so the draft is just going to be all the more crucial. And the three areas that it's really going to come into play, well, it's that long backstretch that you saw on, as well as a little bit of that run between Piper Corner and Redmond Corner, which we just saw Rainford go through, and then obviously on the pit straight as well. There you see a little bit of give and take, driver getting off to the side, letting Rainford on through. Rainford is now going to be the towing car, and look for a gap of about, I would say, 4 to 5/10 of a second. That's really where you're going to want to see these drivers be to try to take full effect of the draft, especially on the backstretch.
Let's see if it works out for Rainford. Looked like a really neat second half of the lap. It wasn't a great first half of the lap, and he does move back up into 8th place after dropping a few positions beforehand. But I think there's still more time available because he seems to have to get out of the throttle through turn 2. Didn't want to pick up a 1x, and once again he's flirting with the track boundaries there, but I think he's got away with it. So Rainford perhaps with an opportunity to improve once again on his last lap of the session. Terrier Flatson was able to move up to the top, and with Matthew Crisp back into the pits, Flatson is looking very strong. Still got Damien Harris, who's just rounding the final couple of corners. Hussein, is he able to improve? No, Hussein with another strong lap, but it was not an improvement on his original lap. Harris just approaching the line at the moment. We'll see if he can improve. Was a decent draft, at least for, I think that was Anderson getting the draft ahead, but that's not going to be an improvement. Apologies, of course, it's a 15-minute session, so still plenty of time. All these drivers expect Crisp to get back out there in a few moments' time to try to win out on that one. But we had, well, 3 different race winners last time out, DJ, and I think this race format really benefits anyone who can have a good race 1 result. I mean, obviously, you always want to finish well in a race 1, but, you know, some of the other series we cover on Apex Racing TV, if you finish poorly, if you finish outside the top 10, well, maybe you can bring it back. But I think in this series, more than any other, if you have a poor qualifying, if you have a poor race 1, that's really going to hurt you for the rest of the evening. So getting those consistent finishes in, I think, is going to be really important for this season, more than any other season.
For sure. I mean, with the second race being obviously just a straight up and down of what the previous race was, that is a big thing that you're going to want to keep an eye out for. As if you have that bad qualifying, harder and harder to overtake and move your way forward. And you know, and then the invert, obviously, in the third race, well, that really changes everything. It makes things very difficult because you don't know where the inversion is going to be. And so you've got to just try to put yourself as far forward as you can. And as we saw in the media day out at Oulton Park, even though you had the fastest drivers like Flatten and Crisp and Hussein starting a little bit farther down the field, the cream rises to the top. They're going to continue to push their way forward. The best drivers overall, they're going to be the ones sitting on the top of the scoring pylon by the time this race is done and dusted.
Yeah, definitely. And last time Crisp didn't do a whole lot. In fact, I don't believe Crisp actually attended the media day. Do you think that's a bit of a disadvantage for Matthew Crisp not to have attended the media day, at least as far as I'm aware? I mean, I'm looking back at last week's results, and at least, apologies, he just had a poor run, I think, did Crisp, after qualifying well in race 1. A little bit of a setback in race 2 and race 3. You know, is that going to be a bit of a disadvantage for him compared to, you know, Flatson, Harris and Hussein, who each got a race win last time out? Or do you think Crisp, you know, will be able to ignore that poor media day and really start afresh for this round 1?
Well, I think it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. Number one, Matthew Crisp is going to be, I think, fighting with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. He's going to want to prove that he is better than his finishing results were in that media day. But the problem is that he didn't spend as much time duking it out with those drivers up in front as I think he would have liked to. And one of the things about this series is learning what the other drivers are going to be doing, learning how they're going to respond, what they're going to do, how they're they're going to react when they're battling you. And obviously Crisp had some bad luck over the course of it, so he wasn't able to fully get a grasp of it, but he's got a little bit of a sense. And obviously these are some of the best TCR drivers on iRacing, so they do know each other's styles to begin with. But that's really the only disadvantage I think Matthew Crisp is going to have. We've seen him time and time again here on Apex Racing TV just be really, really strong, really, really good towards the front of the field, and he'll just have to be on a little bit of a steeper learning curve when it comes to the other drivers. But other than that, I think he'll be okay.
Just another word as well on another championship contender, Scott Malcolm. Got the 25th in qualifying. He managed to win all 3 amateur races last time out at Alton Park, and that was particularly impressive because he actually lost the race lead in race 2 and race 3. But currently not being quite so strong, as he's almost coming to a stop there. I wonder maybe they're playing some games with one of his teammates. He is driving for Team Mad Simutec, is Scott. I think he's in a team all by himself. Scott Malcolm, of course, super experienced driver. Thanks to Sim Racers World, who have been posting some excellent team descriptions on their Instagram page. Do make sure to check that out, SRW_series on Instagram. Scott, with the most experienced touring car driver on the grid. Since 2003, he has taken part in over 600 league races, which does not surprise me whatsoever because he's done so many kind of BSR, TC, and BSR MX5 events. I'm half surprised it's not closer to 1,000. I think it might be because I think he's been racing basically twice a week in these leagues for a long time, and of course the Sim Racers World leagues as well. So best of luck to Scott out there, as he is about to start his final lap. But yeah, he's currently a little bit further down. Do you think that's just a coincidence that he's a bit further down? Maybe this track isn't quite strong enough for Malcolm, or do you think the others have maybe risen their game, which has sent Scott slightly further down? I mean, yeah, what do you think is the reasoning behind Scott being a little bit further down the order tonight?
Well, Sam, I really think it is just probably a matter of Okayama itself. This is a track that you either love it or you hate it. Obviously, free content on the iRacing service, but one of the ones that doesn't really get used that often, and just the way it is laid out, it's a bit of a cliche, but it's almost an utterly unique track in the way that it goes. And some drivers, it just really, really suits them, the sort of medium to low speed corners across the board. And some of them, it just doesn't exactly sit well. It's kind of one of those indescribable, ineffable things that goes around. And so I think for Scott, this may just be one of those tracks that he's not the best on, that he doesn't feel 100% comfortable on. And that may be what's seeing him put down the order. As, I got to think that that is the reasoning, as otherwise we would see him far, far up the order.
Yeah, entering the final few seconds of this qualifying session, I'm not seeing many potential improvements for drivers. Really very few changes in the latter part of this session. Maybe the track getting a bit slick out there, perhaps. We might even get the weather up, as Freitas, to be fair, does improve into 9th place a bit. I don't think he necessarily gained any places on that last attempt. But we're about to get the grid ready for the first time in the proper season. Points counts for tonight, and it is Terje Flatson who did manage to get a race win last time at Alton Park. He is on pole. Matthew Crisp started P2 at Alton Park for race 1. It went dreadfully after that. He crashed in race 1. That ruined his race 2. Didn't get within the reverse grid in race 3. So he'll be hoping for much better tonight. Then it's Damien Harris and Navid Hussein, the 2 other winners besides Flatson, back on the media day. Then it's Ben Thanes, Bram Clays, Mats Borg Anderson, Gerard Rainford, Miguel Freitas, Tim Perry, Brian Loynes, Hakon Ask in 12th. Then it's Chris Young, Mark Woodhouse, Adam Wright, Thor Hagen, Ricardo Nette, Dean Catherwood, Neil Stevenson, Ben Denyer, Thomas Layson, Paul King, Sven Kalber, James Leggett in 24th, Scott Malcolm in 25th. He won all 3 amateur races back last fortnight. Then it is Ben Hicks, Niles de Kuiper, Wayne Palmer, John Roberts, Greg Parmenter, Rob Jackson, Jakob Szymanski, Craig Schill, Joachim Gulbrandsen, Jason Guerrera, and Grubrowski at the back. I can't even go through the entire field. It's a fantastic order. It's going to be a fantastic season. The 5 lights are on, and race 1 of the evening is underway. It's a long run down to turn 1, but it's an excellent start for Flatson. He's going to be way clear, I believe. Crisp is trying to get down his inside. He's going to have to surely back out of that. Is Crisp, although he was still right to the line there. Flatson does hold on in his Hyundai into turn 1. Off the circuit goes Clays, and he's spinning, trying to use the front wheel drive to get that car back, pointing in the right direction, and he did a fantastic piece of car control there, albeit he has dropped a lot of places. Good start for Ben Thanes. He's already got past Navid Hussein, who'll be disappointed with that one as they slalom through the nothing corners in this first sector of the lap. A few dives down the inside as we see the Constantino effect. Flatson from the lead is round. He almost made contact with Chris heading into turn 1. I don't believe there was contact that time round, but he has lost a lot of places as we have a lot of contact further back. That's Scott Malcolm who's going involved that one. 4 wide now. We often see problems coming out of the long right-hander around this circuit. Thanes continues to gain place. He's up into 2nd place further up. Lots of damage for these drivers further back, but an absolutely disappointing start for our pole sitter.
Yeah, indeed. And Scott Malcolm using some good job to try to get his way forward, but maybe a little bit of damage back to that TCR. Potentially, we saw a lot of bumping and banging back in there. Some drivers, I think, a little bit upset at some of the moves getting thrown. But Scott here doing a good job to just keep his level head. Oh, but he just had it off there coming through Piper Corner.
Into the tyre wall, thankfully, so less damage than if he'd hit a concrete wall, but still not ideal for him as we see a driver just off the circuit further up. That could have been Flatson again potentially, or it may be oh dear, we've got Ask now way off the circuit. I don't know how he's ended up all the way back there. And he's hit the wall hard as well, despite there being a lot of gravel leading up to the to the wall right there. So Crisp leading the way as we see. Oh no, it's more problems for Flatson. Right trying to defend, and Flatson is wide. Right is wide as well. And this has been absolutely dreadful for Flatson, and this will really compromise his race 2 and potentially even his race 3 as well. But at least the top order, Crisp out in the lead. Harris was able to hold off the fast starting Thanes, who is now dropping into the clutches of Hussein. You can see how the top 2 have been able to pull away slightly from the rest of the drivers. Mats Borg Anderson up a couple of places. Great start from Mark Woodhouse. He's up 5 places, the highest gainer in the top 10 at the moment. And Crisp, really the opposite of what happened at Alton Park. Great start, and he's looking very strong for this race 1 as Rainbird up the inside of Anderson.
We are seeing a lot of scrappiness here early on, Sam. Just a lot of drivers really going for broke. You can tell that points are starting to be scored here as compared to that media day.
Oh no! Crisp, slow. What has happened to him? Has he picked up a slowdown?
I think he must have. It looked like he may have cut the corner a little bit coming through Piper Corner. That's going to send him all the way back down into 4th position. And now Rainford starting to challenge. A big lockup and a little bit of contact there between the 8 and the 18.
Wow, what a costly mistake. He must have taken too much go. I think you're absolutely right, through Piper. And, well, it's easy to do, particularly in these TCR cars, which deal with the grass and with those kind of bumps so well. It is very tempting to cut the corner. We saw it multiple times at Alton Park. And, wow, that's a bit of a curse already for Martin Crisp. He's got a lot of work. So it means that Harris is now leading the way. Hasn't done a whole lot, honestly, to earn that as Harris, but he's kept it on the track, whilst the 2 in front of him have gone off the circuit. And, yeah, he's leading by half a second. Cal Burr with a big problem. He is dropping down. He was doing all right in the amateur standings. And it's currently Catherwood and Neto leading the way in the amateurs in this race. 14th and 15th place overall. So we see Tim Perry, I think, just defending against Mark Woodhouse. Woodhouse looking to gain his 6th overtake of the race.
Yeah, Woodhouse having a very strong run here. He tried to get a little move going down into the Atwood curve. He's now going to make it side by side as they work down to the hairpin. Woodhouse is going to be on that preferred line, but not nearly as late on the brakes as Perry in front of him. Put a paper in between the two. They are almost touching as now they work their way down through Revolver, and that's Woodhouse barely catching the car.
Oh, and it's another spin as well. He absolutely bury the throttle. That's the great thing with these front wheel drive cars. You bury the throttle, and it always seems to stick in the right direction, and Woodhouse only drops down to 11th place, but Perry and Woodhouse, that could have been a race from 2016. They're absolute veterans, particularly in touring cars. Great to see those two duking it out, as we have Stevenson getting ahead of, geez, Flatson's having a tough race, isn't he? That's the second time he's been off at that hairpin, and well, I imagine he's getting a little bit hot under the collar. Clay's, I think, towing back to the pits there, or is he trundling down there? I think he's trundling down the pits there, is Clay. So, wow, well, problem for him. Maybe didn't serve a slowdown. I don't think he would have got enough incidents so far, but, well, we have seen a fair bit of contact so far. Flatson finally passed Leggett, but he's not really getting away at the moment. As Flatson, he just keeps on getting mired in the traffic, and he needs to be making more progress than this. He's going to be able to salvage this round 1 of the championship. Leggett now falling into the clutches of Denyer, and still very close as Catherwood and Neto for the amateur lead, 0.3 of a second, albeit, at least from what I've seen, no changes of position between those two since lap 1.
You know, they're keeping it relatively clean and together as we look back here. Oh, Szymanski, I believe. No, that's Wayne Palmer in the 177 having a little bit of an off there going through the Atwood curve. We're seeing a lot of problems, Sam. I think drivers just a little over-eager through that long right-hander. Maybe getting on the throttle a little bit too much, even in these front-wheel drive cars, just sending them off a little bit.
Yeah, it's lots of mistakes. And, well, lots of action is what we want to see, as the front runners super close. I honestly thought Danes wouldn't have the pace to keep up with these guys. I believe the Belgian raced in the media day, and he was just lacking a little bit. Very strong drive from Ben Thanes, no doubt, but he wasn't really a championship contender, at least. As we've got Rainford, he's spearing off the track there. You can see he was going completely the wrong direction. He's another one who's hit the wall at the final corner, and now he's trying to rejoin the circuit. He's got a bit of a gap. There goes Leggett. There wasn't really much of a gap, but well, I think that was decent visibility, at least for Leggett to take evasive action. And Rainford, who was in an excellent position and would have been in an excellent position as well for the race 3 reverse grid, unfortunately spinning round right there as we catch back with these top 4, and Hussein is trying to get past Thanes. Remember, Thanes overtook Hussein on lap 1. It was a fantastic start for the Belgian, but this defensive moving that Thanes is putting on now is going to be costing him time. As look at Hussein trying to get to the inside. He uses the extra bits of tarmac on the inside there, but actually it was the pace down the straights going the way of Thanes. He's left the inside open, and I'm sure Hussein will happily go down the inside, brake late and just try to force his rival out wide. That is exactly what the Hyundai driver has done, and he is up into second place.
Yeah, and Chris now starting to take a look at Thanes as well, now that Hussein has been able to get by. And remember from the media day, this is a little bit of deja vu all over again for Hussein. He seemed to struggle a little bit in the beginning of the race, and then once we got about past the 1/3 mark, that number 7 really seemed to come alive, and he started to fight his way forward through the field. So it could be the same story playing out here today as they go through the final sequence of corners there. Crisp really starting to threaten Thanes.
And Freitas is gaining on these drives as well. You'll see the times pop up on the timing tower on the left, and I imagine Freitas has taken out a good half second on this tour of the track. Yeah, about half second faster there. Oh wow, this is going tasty. This is Leggett somehow still at the head of this train, and you can see how Flatson has sprinted away. Flatson lapping 2 seconds a lap faster, and Leggett is going to finally lose it to Jackson here. There goes the Simutec Racing white driver. And there's also a few changes just behind them as well, but they just can't get away, because once one gets ahead, they have to start defending for a few corners, and around any circuit that is going to be losing you a lot of time. This battle going all the way back to Layson at the back, who was a very strong driver in the media day. I think finished second place in a couple of the amateur races, but he is having a little bit of a tricky one, maybe not quite following that pace that he had last time out. And we've also got Rainford in this one, who was running well inside the top 10 earlier on. After a spin, he's trying to recover.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's really making some of these battles so interesting, is you have a lot of the drivers that are off pace a little bit, almost Noah's Ark style 2x2 going down into the corner, but instead that's going to be Rainford trying to press a little bit of an advantage there. on Hicks. Does he have the full line? Oh, getting his elbows out there, as that is Rainford working his way by Hicks, saying, no, I want that corner. Get out of my way. I'm not giving it to you. He's now got Denyer right ahead of him. Denyer going a little bit defensive when they head into Redmond. I think he knows the speed that Rainford has.
Yeah, for sure. As wow, you can see the number 8 really showing that speed on the brakes there, braking late. Although actually on the exit, he seemed to be the one struggling a little bit more than Ben Hicks. Well, Ignium Motorsports plays. Thanks to everyone who's tuning in. We will try to get you a replay of that lap one, maybe a little bit later on once it starts to calm down in this race 1 of the evening. Yeah, let us know who you are supporting in the YouTube chat, and we super appreciate you tuning along for this opening round of the Simutec TCR Winter Series Championship. As we see Wright, I believe, just overtaking Catherwood there. Wright has had a couple of off-tracks so far tonight, but he is recovering well, and Catherwood knowing that's not his fight. Now, the drivers do score points for that overall position. It's not based on where they are in their class, it's based on their overall position. So if Catherwood beats Wright, he will gain an extra point. But I think he realises that Wright is going to beat him regardless. There's no point in trying to defend, and soon Terrier Flatten will be the next to pass. But good news for Catherwood is that he's quite a long way ahead of Neto now. 2 seconds is the gap in the lead of the amateur class.
Yeah, indeed. And that point you made about the scoring here of it technically being for position, but knowing that there's going to be more speed, you see they're not putting up too much of a fight to flatten. You really want to, if you're one of these amateur drivers, try to let the pro drivers through with as little problem as possible. It's not going to slow you down too much on the track to just kind of give them a move. It's going to slow you down a lot more if there's fighting, as we've got a battle for the lead here. Sam Hussein on a charge.
Oh, he's absolutely sold him the dummy, and he is almost past. He runs a little bit wide. Great exit though for Harris. He'll have to surely go to the extremities of the circuit and more if he's going to hold on to this place. The Ignium Motorsports driver does leave space. Well, that was very courteous, a bit more courteous than I'd expect him to be, because it's given Harris the high ground here. He's got the inside, and surely the position by no means is the move complete, but he is doing everything he can now. The up and under for Hussein, that was an excellent launch coming out of the corner. He was struggling for straight line speed a little bit earlier on when backing things, but he got such a good exit there. I think he might be ahead. This is Harris actually moving back ahead down the straight, but with the inside line. Now Hussein, the numbered 7 TCR car, is surely making this one stick. Finally, he's up into the lead, and after dropping down to 5th position on lap 1, he has stormed his way back through, and he's just got 7 minutes to hold on for the first race of the season.
Well, and that car clearly has some more speed in it, that number 7 Audi, is we've seen just how quick it can be in trying to move its way forward. I think the thing is here is he has got to just focus on the next couple of corners. As you said earlier, Sam, you need to try to pull away as quickly as possible, not have any battles from behind. And I think right now, Thames really looking like he's hassling Harris, and that's really going to help out Hussein be able to pull ahead here a little bit. He's already got a gap of about 0.5 of a second as they get onto the pit straight, and that is certainly going to be helpful. He's going to be able to breathe a little bit easier and just focus on hitting his apexes here, not really having to drive in his rearview mirror nearly as much, as Matthew Crisp there in 4th, still stalking behind.
Ooh, big side for Harris. He's going to lose that position, and he could have lost the car entirely there, and that would be a shame for him. He was pushing right to the limit, trying to open up that turn 2 as much as possible, but he dipped a wheel onto the grass, and well, like many others have been able to, Woodhouse in particular, able to recover, but he drops down to 5th position, and he's only just ahead of Mats Borg Anderson after all. That's a big disappointment there for Harris. He looked strong for the race, but honestly I thought he had the pace to hold off Hussein, but it has not proven to be the case. And yeah, so we get a replay of something that happened just a little bit earlier on. Unfortunately, I can't see this one, DJ.
This is that replay of Flatten at the start, getting pushed a little bit wide. Just see there, that was very, very tough for him as we jump back to live pictures. A little bit of a battle here with James Leggett, it looks like.
Yeah, Leggett's just losing a bit of time to Jackson, but he is, well, he's a bit safer. He's got a bit more of a gap than he has done for the most of the race. He's had a tough time so far, and yeah, actually trying to come back against Jackson. So good pace there for Leggett. Just looking back at the race for an instant myself, and yeah, that was quite a big move then, which decided the race lead earlier on with Crisp, I believe the one causing that contact. And yeah, really making a big difference in this race. And like I was saying earlier on, race 1's so important because the race 1 results set the race 2 grid, and then it's quite a small reverse grid for a race that you need to be up in the top 6 to guarantee yourself in the top 6. As Leggett dives down the inside, maybe just trying to scare his rival off slightly. It has compromised his line. He may have to go defensive into turn 2 because here comes Denya, who had space up the inside. Good driving there from Leggett just to leave a bit of room on the inside to prevent any risk of contact. As Rainford, who hasn't really made much progress through this field, is at least going to be able to get past one car. It looks like past Denya he goes, takes that tight line through the uphill right-hander. As Ben Hicks we ride on board with, he's got an excellent run here. Rainford actually couldn't get that move stick. He stays behind Denya.
Yeah, stays behind him, and this is Hicks just sort of in that popcorn position to the battle, seeing if he's maybe got something on Rainford. Very late on the brakes as he's going to dive it down there into the hairpin. Tries to get it. Denyer checks him up a little bit in front. They're going to be side by side. Woo! Rainford getting his elbows out a little bit and saying, no, that position is mine. You are not taking it away.
This is a bit of a continuation of a battle we see for the rest of the season. Hicks and Rainford seem to produce great racing between the pair there. As you see Riccardo Neto, the 113 machine, and he's late on the brakes, just about gets a start. I think that was registered actually as a stop on our system. He was going so slow through that hairpin, and yeah, that was Paul King just in front of him. Neto still second place out of the amateur judges at least. Catherwood in the lead, but now 3 seconds clear. Catherwood, as far as I recall at least, did not take part in the media day, so he's kind of come out of nowhere and proven to be very strong. Riccardo Neto, not the driver, at least maybe just went under the radar at Alton Park, but really a very different order in the amateur races compared to what we were expecting earlier on, as Thanes is launching attack here at Hussein. Now, he was overtaken by Hussein earlier on in the race, but he's trying to come back. Contact between the two of them. Hussein will win out on this battle, but they've still got 2.5 more minutes to decide who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, getting a little bit chippy there for Hussein, as he does not want to give that first place position. And if I'm Thanes right now, I've got to be very careful. I need to be making high percentage moves here because we know the speed out of Matthew Crisp behind. And rest assured, if there is a mistake, there's a little bit more contact like that, I think Crisp is going to pounce on this number 69 Audi. And we're going to really try to go for it. It is up front, Honda, Audi as they run. Watch here, coming through these final 2 corners. Oh, is so crucial. Hussein's looked very quick here, coming through the last corner. Keep the power down. Perfect line there almost, but I think Thanes has got a little bit more speed. Let's see if he chooses to poke his nose out here, going down into the first corner. Indeed, he's going to think about it. A bit of a head game there. I think he doesn't want to go for the full commit.
Well, he is a tenth of a second closer than he was 1 lap ago, so he is in a better position. As look at the slide there from Hussein. He's done what Harris did a few laps ago, but less extreme, and he fortunately was able to keep better control of the car, but that has lost any small gap that he may have had to the Belgian, who's managed to force him offline. Now, it does seem as though Hussein is struggling down the straights. That seems to have been the case all day long. Not by a big margin, these cars are all very similar to one another, but it does seem as though Thanes has got a slight advantage. He dips into the slipstream, trying to use that momentum advantage to pull ahead down the straights. He'll get his nose ahead, heading into the hairpin, but I assume it'll just be the exact same thing that happened last time, and pretty much is minus the slight contact, and that is pretty much what Thanes has got to somehow manage to get past, as he makes contact there into the revolver corner, and he is past. Hussein drops down to 4th place, and it's Ben Thanes who becomes, I believe, our 4th different leader so far in this 20-minute race, as I think there might be a move here from the 53 of Harris. another former leader trying to come back, but it's Thanes who now leads. But, well, was that a fair overtake, DJ? Was he still alongside by the time they turned into the corner?
I'm thinking just at first glance that looked a little bit suspect, but at the same time, we are racing some touring cars out here, so contact like that to be expected, and a good job for the number 7 of Hussein to be able to keep everything out on track. I do feel a little bit sorry for him just losing out like that in contact. You never like to see that from a driver. But as of right now, it is Thanes. There's the replay. Let's see here. So this is going to be going down into Revolver. You know, looking at that again, I think I'm going to call that a racing incident. I think Hussein turned in a little bit early, and I think Thanes carried a little bit more speed into the corner than he anticipated. So a little bit of a fault on both sides for that.
Yeah, I would agree with that one. I think always a very tricky corner. It gets so narrow on the exit, and yeah, contact's always going to be made there. So we'll see if the stewards agree with that one after the race. But Thanes able to really have strong pace. It's been an exceptional drive for him. Whether that overtake was fair or not, I think no one can disagree that he's at least deserved this race win. Crisp is going to finish a very close second place. So many guys, Crisp, Harris, Hussein and Flatton will all be thinking, I could have won this race. But none of them are going to be able to do it. Freight as well going back onto the podium. It doesn't look like there's going to be any change for position in the closing stage. Don't think there's going to be any changes in the top of the amateur class either. As Ben Thanes races away from the field. He's got a 7/10 of a second lead. And through the final corner comes the Flemish Simsports driver to take the first race win of the season here at Okayama. Great drive there from Ben Thanes from 5th on the grid to take the race win. Crisp and Freitas round out the podium. Catherwood is going to finish top of the amateurs. That's a really strong start for Dean's championship. Neto and Jackson will finish 2nd and 3rd. Good drive from Jackson actually, because he had some overtaking to do. Leggett, somehow, I mean, if you want home security, get James Leggett on the case, because he does not let anything past. He finishes in 19th place, beats Denya, who had a race-long battle with him. Well, we knew going into tonight, DJ, that this is going to be a tight championship. I think this has just made it even closer, because honestly, that was such a competitive top 6 there, and that didn't even include Terrier Flatson. I mean, I thought I had an idea of who the championship contenders are, but I think that list has just doubled.
I completely agree with you, Sam. Absolutely insane battling up at the front. And in that amateur category, very, very crucial here for Catherwood, as he had King in between himself and Neto. So a little bit of more of a points buffer there. So that's going to be very crucial in that amateur championship. That's some of that point calculation that we have talked about to be able to keep everything together. But yeah, there are multiple drivers here out on track that can win any one of these races. I think the championship pecking order at about 7 or 8 drivers. And as for this second race, I am very interested to see what this is going to look like when we're able to put Flatten back up into the mix. We saw him climb back up through the field a little bit. I anticipate him continuing that climb here in this second race. Probably will find himself in those transfer positions when we get ready to go for race 3.
Yeah, I think that's what his aim will be. Ben Thanes, though, he'll be aiming for another race win. He'll have track position for race 2, because remember, these race 1 results set the grid for race 2. So Thanes up at the top, then it's Crisp. Freitas, who started in, I think, 8th place, did Miguel Freitas, so really good work from him. Then it was Navid Hussein, Damien Harris, Mats Borg-Andersen, Tim Perry, Chris Young, who was very much under the radar, Mark Woodhouse, and Terrier Flatson. Top 3 in the amateurs with Dean Catherwood, Ricardo Neto, and Rob Jackson. I'll let the rest of the order cycle through for you as we are into a 5-minute warm-up session. And I will take this opportunity to thank our title sponsor for this series, and that of course is Simutec. And of course, if you want to drive a professional motorsport simulator used by real racing driver, be expertly coached and engineered to learn and navigate your way around some of the best circuits in the world in some of the fastest cars available. And also, if you want to become a faster sim racer and get yourself on par with the esports pro drivers, do visit Simutec, because at Simutec you are the driver. Do visit www.simutec.co.uk. I believe there's a link in the description below. Huge thanks to them for sponsoring the Sim Racers World organisation and putting on this fantastic championship. It's just got 3 more minutes to go in this one. It's going to be a few, you know, high tension, I think, after that race, DJ, because I mean, I went through a list of, I think we had 5 leaders in that race, and whenever you lead a race and you don't win, it's an incredibly annoying scenario, particularly if it's your own fault. You know, if tensions are that high after race 1, yeah, I don't want to know what the drive's going to be like after race 3.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit interesting to see how it plays out there, Sam. And I think in particular, you're going to see some drivers potentially attacking this with a little bit more red behind their eyes in this second race. Drivers are really going to want to be pushing forward, specifically Hussein, who we have seen as a very, very accomplished overtaker. I think he's going to be feeling a little bit slighted. He's going to want to try to push his way forward as much as possible. I also think Flatten in the back of the field, starting off so well, then having that issue, he's going to be one to charge up through. And really any one of these 7 top drivers who realistically had a shot at winning this race, they're going to have a little something to prove here. And so I think what that is going to lead is it's going to lead to a little bit more elbows out racing. It's going to lead to a little bit more aggression from these drivers, maybe forcing some moves where we haven't seen all that many moves before, especially now as drivers are getting a better sense of how everyone is going to respond in full championship setting. Watching that first race, one of the things that I took away is that I think we saw the gloves on a little bit last time in Oulton Park. When we were there for the media day, there wasn't as much out-and-out aggression from the drivers. And now that that is flipped around, I think we are seeing a lot more willingness to put door to door and to get a little bit argy-bargy.
Yes, yeah, I think you're absolutely right there, and yeah, we will see that see some of these rivalries, which I think are already forming, kind of evolve through the season now that yeah, absolutely the gloves are off and the drivers can properly battle it out there. Something that people always talk about whenever we visit a Japanese circuit is the Japanese tarmac. I think it's got ash in it because Japan's got volcanoes, I believe, and so it's always very slippery. At least I'm told. I mean, I'm always very skeptical of this, DJ, but I don't think the Japanese circuits on iRacing are actually that slippery. But basically, this is a very long-winded way to say the check temperature is currently 30 degrees. If it gets much warmer than that, I think it might be getting a little bit tricky for these gyros. I've got to ask you, I'm just curious, and we're running out of time here. Do you believe in the Japanese tarmac, or do you believe all tarmac is the same on iRacing?
I do actually believe that there's a little bit of difference in the tarmac. It may be driver's skill, but specifically looking at the 2 Japanese circuits in Okayama and Suzuka, I can never keep the car on the road. That may be just down to my driver's skill, but I'd like to think that it's the asphalt that's messing me up.
I want to get some opinions on this because I just never noticed it. But I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of factors at play. Maybe I always just drive at like 20 degrees check temperature, but yeah, I've never noticed the ungrippiness. There's the grid. It's the finishing order from the race 1. Remember, you need to finish between 6 and 12. So the reverse grid, sorry, will be between 6 and 12 places for race 3. We don't know what it is. No one knows what it is. A random wheel or number generator will be used post race 2. So you want to be in the top 6 to guarantee it, but top 12 is also a really important position as well. The lights are coming on then, with Danes this time taking us away from pole position. And we are away launching. Is it a good start for the Belgian? It looks very strong for him. Already 3 wide for 3rd, 4th and 5th. I think that's Harris and Hussein with a strong start. Peters dropping down the order immediately, it seems. And also Woodhouse with a poor start. So stuff for the Team Mad drivers in these early stages. But Dane's leading the way, Crisp in second place, Hussein up a place along with Harris, as we've got, I think that's right, spinning off the track, and that could be a very dangerous rejoin. Unfortunately, was able to gather it back up and rejoins in 14th place. Ball start for Catherwood, he's dropped that lead to Jackson right there, but able to get back up the inside and retakes that amateur race lead. But really strong stuff there from the Audi driver of Jackson. But this battle is not over as the draft train starts down the back straight.
Draft train starts, but a lot of drivers trying to find some space here. Rob Jackson almost caught in the middle of the 3 wide as Ben Hicks gets very aggressive going down into the hairpin. He's going to be able to carry some positions on and around him, so he'll be pleased with that. Oh, there's some sideways action from James Leggett, who's able to hold the car together.
Yeah, off the circuit and off the circuit again, this time for Rainford. And another one as well, Stevenson, carving his own circuit. This is like Super Trucks being visited. That championship site tap for the 17. I think that might be Roberts, maybe, or maybe Clays, I think, who is just getting a bit of a tap ground there. Lots of stuff going on. I can only really give you some of the changes of position so far. I can start for Ben Hicks. Actually, we saw him getting aggressive into the hairpin. He's up 4 places so far as Roberts, and to go the long way round, he's a little bit further down than he would like to be, is the pro driver. Freitas versus Perry. Perry way wide, keeps it on the circuit. At least that's a huge penalty if you do go onto the gravel around that part of the track. And Perry and Woodhouse again. Now last time it was Perry who was able to come out on top in this battle. I think it's Woodhouse who's able to get the advantage this time around. We've got Roberts in a dangerous part of the circuit. He's on the inside, dreadful start for the 86, and he'll drop down to 36th position.
Yeah, it just looked like there that he got pinched a little bit to the inside, got sent off. We look here at Paul King. This is a little battle. Loins right behind him, trying to get a move done. Remember, this is some of that battling that we've kept our eye on this entire race. 2x2, Noah's Ark's tiled down into the hairpin. Who is the latest of the late breakers? It looks like King's going to hold it out.
Well, Lions actually getting back ahead again. Courteous driving, they're leaving each other's face. This is what we like to see. The Simsticker's car does lose out just a little bit slow on the apex, and now Wright, who was off the circuit early on, and I thought out to the race early on as well, he is trying to make that one 3 wide. He's just edging his nose up the inside as we go through one of the slowest corners of the entire championship here. So tricky to get through, so tricky to avoid contact as well with other drivers. We got on board with our amateur race leader and race 1 winner as well, Catherwood, who's been able to pull away from Jackson. Got a fantastic view of this battle as the big slide there from Hagen. He slides off around the final corner and will jump a few more places.
And I think that's going to be Catherwood thanking his lucky stars, not only for the avoidance there, but that forced Jackson to sort of check himself up, not take the full width of the track coming behind. And so that's going to build on what was already about a 2-second gap, just trying to expand it here. It's at about 1.6 right now. So good work for Catherwood being able to get his way forward.
Jackson finally getting away from some of those other drivers. Looks like Denya's been able to get past Leggett, just breaking the laws of the universe, because he managed to keep him behind somehow for the first 20 minutes in race 1, but is able to get past. It looks like, as you see, the changes so far in this race, Flatson and Freitas, the 2 that stand out up in the top 10, as Rainford trying to go defensive there. Lots of drivers going defensive down that straight, almost going motorcycle racing, creating the banana line, just covering off the inside, it looks like. Danes but struggling to pull away at the moment from Crisp and Co. 0.4 of a second at the moment is the gap. Now, Crisp looked really quick in race 1, and I think would have won race 1 most likely, DJ, had he not picked up a slowdown through Revolver, I believe it was. So if anything, at least in my mind, he's probably the biggest challenger, considering that Hussein, I believe, was overtaken by Danes. Crisp wasn't really overtaken by anyone apart from himself in race 1.
Exactly, and look at the confidence there from Matthew Crisp. That is Ben Thanes going defensive, trying to break the draft a little bit, and Crisp just sticking to his line. So that tells me that the number 18's got a lot of confidence in that car, doesn't want to lose a whole lot of speed going down the pit straight, looking very, very good. But Hussein behind him definitely starting to threaten as well. They've got a decent little gap to the tune of about 0.6 of a second between themselves and Harris. Look back here on the trailing end of this car. This is Fritas. Look who's already up into those transfer positions, just like we predicted. It's Flat right ahead of him in that number 11.
Yeah, Flat's crucially in that 6th position, and well, if he finished like that, that would not be bad for him whatsoever, because he would definitely be within the reverse grid, could be reverse grid pod, could be reverse grid 6th position. We will have to, or 7th position, apologies. We'll have to see later on, as he is trying to get past Anderson. Is he past Anderson? Not fighting that one too much, and he is past. Is the number 11, and honestly, with the chaos that we had in race 1, I wouldn't rule him out of a race win. Certainly a podium is possible, because he's not far behind as Anderson spins off the circuit. Apologies, that's Cal Burr. I think Anderson, was he in that region? No, apologies, Anderson was the Joe who we were watching previously. Cal Burr, the 173, spinning off the circuit. It would be great to get a replay of what happened there. Seemed like he was in a really tight battle. I think maybe Hagen, Layson and Denya may have been around that area as well. Oh, are they going to go 3 wide? One driver trying to outbrake another driver, trying to outbrake another driver. No one gets it stopped. And Cal Burr, if anything, did the least wrong right there. And yeah, pays the price.
Yeah, and that's really what can just happen if you get things a little bit wrong. Able to gather it back up under him, but a bit of a heartbreak there for him as we go back to live pictures here. Trying to chase down on those drivers and recover some positions. Very hard if you have a spin like that to keep yourself nice and calm, as this is a nice little battle with Thomas Layson.
Yeah, this is him versus Hagen. Hagen is a pro driver. Down 6 paces is Hagen, struggling to kind of judge his pace, whether he is falling back or whether it was just a poor start for him, which he's now recovering from. Motorsports Blaze car, really good livery, fantastic liveries down the order. I did say this 2 weeks ago. Do let us know in the chat who you like, whose liveries you like. We did see some compliments for the Team Mad liveries in the in the IMSA Star Championship that we have alternate weeks with this, as Jackson has had a problem. That's from P2 in the amateurs. Oh, Jackson was driving so well in this race too. Brilliant start for him. Actually took the lead momentarily, but it has gone sour for him very quick, as we've now got Neto versus Hicks. I think Neto's the driver on the outside there. He's been able to storm past, almost looking like the STR driver would go for a dive as well, as Neto sprints away from these guys, going 3 wide. Ignium Motorsports driver, of course, teammates, but was tripping over one another on that occasion. And Rainford trying to make up some places once again. He was very much stuck in that region in race 1. Remember, was up in the top 10 earlier on in the evening, struggled to overtake, and still struggling to make overtakes, it looks like, at the moment. As we see what happened to Jackson, I assume it was a slight hit from behind.
That's what it's looking like. Yeah, just a little bit of that Gordian effect going down into the hairpin, and that's what sends him out nice and wide. Holding it on there. Let's watch this down. Noah's Ark coming out of the corner, and there you go.
Yeah, messy stuff, as we would fully expect, and I've got some very slow speed corners around Okayama as well. Some fantastic circuits later on in the championship. I think we've got Imola next, so we'll have to check out the calendar to confirm that one. And then we've got Knock Hill later on in the championship as well, following the official series. Really good calendar that the guys have put on, and it's Okayama. It's like, it's so good for all cars, as I always say. This one Hungarian, excellent for F1 cars up to or down to MX-5s. So really good to see these TCR cars battle it out. Thanes with a half a second lead. That's a cushion, really, in comparison to what we're seeing for the rest of the evening. Hussein looks a bit faster than Crisp at the moment, but they're just so evenly matched, and this is the advantage of winning out in race 1. It gives you track position for race 2. Admittedly, Thanes did earn that track position in race 1. You know, he had to make the overtakes, but this race 2, probably going to be much easier for him because he is edging out that lead at the moment. He was 2/10 faster that last time out, which is a huge margin in comparison to what we've seen most of the day. So looking very good for a double race win right now for Mendes.
Indeed, and really being able to hold on to that well. He has got to just make sure, though, he doesn't start driving with the rear view mirrors. He's got two very quick drivers behind him in the tune of Crisp and Hussein, not to mention Harris and Flatten, who's been able to move his way up into fifth. We saw that overtake earlier. Hussein getting very, very close going through Atwood as we've got side-by-side in the back there between Ask and Stevenson.
Yeah, and Ask had a crash at the final corner in race 1. That's part of the reason why he is so far down the order at the moment. And Scott Malcolm, who won all 3 races in the amateur category on the media day, but he had an incident right at the start of race 1, and since then just hasn't been able to recover. Not quite the same pace for Scott, but just trying to get as many points as possible to keep him in play for the championship. Is a short season, this just the 5 rounds, and so this is going to be trickier. A setback like tonight is very tricky to recover from for the rest of the championship. But yeah, he's currently in 27th position, chasing Niles de Kuiper. Bit of an overtake just ahead, you saw alongside. I think that was Neto and Rainford. And apologies, Hagen and Rainford. That is Hagen defending. He's flat out through this penultimate corner for these Giants. No, he hasn't seen many overtakes into the final corner. Not much of a braking zone. Of course, it's better to try to get the exit for the front straight. And that is exactly what Rainford has done. Surely is going to be able to make this move. He can still maybe see a reverse good pole can Rainford if some incidents happen ahead of him. But, well, I really thought he'd be able to get past that. Had his nose right to the rear wing of the car ahead going onto the pit straight, but not enough momentum, and Rainford stays in 17th.
Yeah, Rainford just doesn't exactly look like he wants to go full commit here, full overtake. He's certainly got the speed. They work their way now through the Lost S's. Here he goes into Atwood, down to the inside. Later on the brakes, maybe a little bit of contact there in between the two of them as he tries to get that car in front of Hagen. He's got it, but is Hagen going to be able to fight back here with the benefit of the draft?
I thought there was going to be some quarter paddling there, really unsettling the cars. They made contact. As they're making more contact here, they're trying to squeeze each other, and now off goes the number 8. Rainford spins round, and they were both very aggressive around those couple of corners. Nice manoeuvre there from Rainford, although he's forgotten to go back into first gear. He gets back going, 29th place, and a miserable day for Rainford as Harris is dropping down the order for the second time in the evening. He's dropped down from 4th to 6th, and we've also had a change between Hussein and Crisp. Now that happened, I believe, at the hairpin. It'd be great to get great to see what happened between those two drivers. But Hussein up into 2nd place is still. This one is kicking off plays versus Jackson at the front of it. Jackson trying to recover after an incident earlier on. And right now, Ask isn't letting him go. And Ask keeps in that position. Contact between Jackson. Jackson spin rounds hard into the wall, and that will surely be steering damage and a fast repair needed for the 185.
A bit unfortunate to see that happen. It just looked like he had a driver coming up the inside trying to make a little bit of a move, and that sent him out and flying. Ask not giving up the ghost here. He's trying to put the screws to him. Is Neil Stevenson there having a problem as well?
Yeah, he was, I think, in that pack as well, and yeah, had his own issues. So this race 2 kind of getting more and more aggressive as we go on. There was no big problems on lap 1, yet since then it seems to have got a bit worse. I think, is that Clays and Ask, I think, have just collided and caused each other a lots of time problems there. They seem very slow coming out of that corner. When you get into a batch like this, it just seems inevitable that one is going to have to spin off, and well, that's not too bad. That's not a bad ending to that battle, because Clays, just with a minor setback, stays ahead of Leggett. Leggett just tries to respond. No, he won't. So Ask in 20th position, and some real elbows out racing amongst that entire pack.
Yeah, indeed, and you saw there, Clay, say that, but we're going to go back and check out that replay here, Sam, of that pass that we were looking at with Hussein.
Yeah, Hussein up into second position, actually being able to pull away now from Matthew, because apologies, Matthew, I don't know why I think your name is Martin. I don't know, I don't think I know any Martins actually, and yet I just think, always see Crisp and think Martin, but no, Matthew Crisp, apologies to the Architect NHR driver, and yeah, that's that move being made a few laps ago. Surprisingly not a whole lot of defense it looked like, but yeah, good work there from Hussein, but he hasn't been able to really make much of an impression on our race leader, who looks imperious to spend things, as Freitas versus Harris. And that's Harris defending. Really, Harris not having the pace that I thought he would do after his very strong media day. Has at least been able to keep Freitas behind him on that occasion. And Tim Perry battling Chris Young at the moment. I think that's Young getting back past. I think he may have lost that position earlier on. So tight battling between those two drivers. They at least were very evenly matched on that last lap. Patrick Perry was a bit past me. Perry making his way through. Just 8 seconds off the lead, shows the competitiveness of this field. Everyone is so packed together. And they've got Wright, who had a big issue earlier on, and Loins both catching up to these two.
Yeah, they've got to be careful not to battle too much, otherwise Loins and Wright, who's able to hold on nice and closely behind, will be able to get the move. There's a quick check-in on your leader in the AM class. That is Catherwood, as he continues to lead, going for 2 for 2. That is back to P2 in that class. Neto, who has Layson all over the back of him. Layson looking to make a move to the inside, going down into the first corner, not going to do it. That may have sacrificed a little bit of time, that pop-out, but it certainly did it for Layson. Layson really hassling the 1-1-3 of Paul Neto.
He's just trying to get part of his car alongside. Once you do that, then you kind of earn yourself a bit of space, and that is what he's been able to do. Forces his opponents offline, and this is for second place out of the outers. Catherwood 7 seconds off the road in a different league, as we've got a problem for Matthew Crisp doing me. Oh, make a compilation of this, someone. Crisp down to 5th place. Really disappointing for our once upon a time leader in race 1. And this is how he's dropped down from 3rd, from 3rd down into 5th. So this was Flatton. Ooh. Yeah, what's your take on that one, DJ? I mean, at least this is quite nice for me, because you know this isn't a league that I'm got anything to do with the stewarding for, so I can kind of say what I think. But I think Crisp there maybe just closing the line a little bit there, you know, moving in the braking area, and at least, you know, not necessarily defensively, but that's just his racing line. But you know, you can't really counteract that if you're the opposing driver. If you're alongside and the driver on the outside comes across, then well, there's not really any way for you to avoid contact.
No, there isn't, and we saw that late puff of smoke there from Flatten as he tried to make his way down in there, and I think that reflects that closing of the door a little bit early. Have to go back and take another look to see if Flatten was alongside, but the way I saw that, he had clearly made a indication that he was going to go for the pass, so more impressed, but we'll leave that decision up to the stewards.
As a bit of a setback there for Young, he's dropped to 12th position. Lots of contact with Perry. The drivers just can't seem to kind of follow the same line down the straights. They're constantly squeezing one another. I do like to see that. I do want to see competitiveness from the drivers, and yeah, usually that's quite an aggressive kind of mindset. Not necessarily anything wrong with it, but yeah, when you're really trying to push your driver to the inside of the track, try to compromise their line for the next corner. You seem to have seen that a lot as this race has gone on. But anyway, right, could be up into 10th place soon here, because he's onto the back of Loins, looking very quick as Wright. And of course, this might be reverse grid pole. Could be anything between 6th and 12th. And so, yeah, very highly coveted place. You want to get as high up as possible to increase the percentage chance of you getting into the reverse grid, as we are just about going to have time for one more lap. with about 10 seconds to spare, Ben Thanes crosses the line, and he is just a few corners, about 12 corners away from his second race win of the season. Hussein cutting that gap slightly, but Thanes knows he just needs to hit his marks from here on in, and he should be able to take the race win.
Exactly, and Hussein doing a good job to be able to keep up good pace with that menacing 11 machine of Flatten behind him. We know how much speed that car has, as we see a great camera angle there coming through the Atwood curve. You can really tell just how much these drivers are pushing, but at this point I think these guys are going to calm down a little bit. Well, maybe not, as there you see Thanes weaving a little bit on that backstretch, just trying to break the draft a little bit, make sure he has got as much advantage as possible going into these final few corners.
Well, he survived the hairpin, and that was the biggest concern, I imagine, for Ben Thanes. And, well, you got a few more hairpins from here on in, but not as big braking areas. And this would be some race win for a driver who, at least I did not consider to necessarily be a favourite for the championship, but winning this race too would surely propel him to the top of that category, because he has driven really well, and honestly has had the pace on everyone else throughout this race too, along with race 1 as well. And it's going to be deja vu, because with just one corner to go, he's 6 tenths ahead once again of second place, and it will be Ben Thanes once again for Flemish Simsports, who takes his second race win of the season. The Belgian back on top of the top step of the podium. Hussein beats his teammate Flatten there. Good result there for Flatten, up 7 places from his race start. And it's another race win for Dean Catherwood, and also good news for him, he'll be a pole sitter in the amateur category. Whatever the reverse grid turns out to be, he will definitely be pole sitter for the amateur category come race 3. So it could be a hat trick for him, just as we saw for Scott Malcolm in the media day. Leggett beats, speaking of Malcolm, beats Malcolm to 22nd position there, and the other podium sitters on the amateur podium were Leysons and Neto, by the way, in second and third. Good drive actually from Leysons to gain 7 places in that race 2 after a tricky race 1. I was kind of wondering if it was a pace problem. I assume it was an incident problem. So the Belgian doing really well there to recover back to 15th position. But yeah, just great work there from Ben Thanes. Who would you say in that 6 to 12 range do you think is going to have a particularly good chance come this race 3? You know, if it lands on 8, do you think Woodhouse, for example, would be able to hold on to the lead, or do you think we're going to be looking at Freitas or Harris as really the guys who might benefit the most?
I think Freitas and Harris certainly would be. I also think Matthew Crisp is going to be hoping for a shorter grid. If we maybe just get that 6-car grid, he's going to be able to hope to keep his way forward. Obviously losing out in these past 2 races a little bit, but he now knows some of the tricks, knows some of the things that caught him out last time. He may be one that is able to come back. Woodhouse is going to be interesting, but I'm really going to have my eye on 2 drivers in this next race who are going to be starting down in the order, and that is Flatten and Hussein. Flatten in particular, we have seen his ability to work his way up through the field, and he knows exactly how to do it here at Okayama. So that number 11, that is going to be a fearsome car to watch out for.
Yeah, I think that's a very good shot. Would not rule Flatten out of a race when he seems very quick tonight. Remember, took pole position, of course. So there is the results. Thanes ahead of Hussein, ahead of Flatten, Anderson in 4th, Crisp rounding out the top 5. Then it was Harris, Freitas, Woodhouse, Perry, Loins, and Wright and Young. That is the top 12, and those are the drivers who could be reversed. Catherwood, Leysons, and Neto were top of the amateur drivers. Denyer and Leggett in 4th and 5th in that category. We are going to take a break whilst the new server goes up, but we'll be back with you on Apex Racing TV for race 3 of the evening in just a few minutes. See you then. Welcome back to the Simutec Motorsport TCR Winter Series live on Apex Racing TV. Once again, I am Sam Fitzpatrick. Once again, alongside me is DJ Clark, and Sam Kumo is operating the cameras. And yeah, once again, of course, we are at Okayama now, lining up for race 3 of the evening. We'll take this opportunity to thank Simutec for sponsoring the series. If you want to drive a professional motorsport simulator used by real racing drivers, be expertly coached and engineered to learn and navigate your way around some of the best circuits in the world, and also become a faster sim racer and get yourself on par with the esports pro drivers, go visit simutec.co.uk. At Simutec, you are the driver. Huge thanks to them for sponsoring the series. Yeah, I'm not sure if this series would be going ahead without them, or if we'd have the broadcast. So huge thanks to them for yeah, sponsoring this championship. I'm very excited about this one, DJ. I feel like the first 2 races, particularly race 1, was absolutely brilliant. Now that we've got a bit of a mix-up to the order, we really don't know what's going to happen, and at least as far as I'm aware, as I quickly go and look on the iRacing UI, we still don't know what the reverse grid is, which is always like a bit of a random element for us. Until the drivers plonk onto the grid, we don't know what's going to happen, so there's still a lot up in the air.
Yeah, there really is. The one thing we do know is that some of those faster cars, the fastest drivers that we've seen, they're going to be starting in the back, which means there is going to be some cracking overtakes that we see get done. It's going to be very tricky, it's going to be very difficult, and it's going to be very fascinating to watch. And one of those drivers that we are really going to have to keep an eye on, this man right here on the number 7, Naveed Hussein. Very, very quick in both races, able to finish on the podium in both of them. And we saw in the media day out at Alton Park his ability to get some good passes done. I think Naveed is one certainly to keep an eye on, as is Flatten is another one that knows how to get some moves done when the time comes.
At the end of race 2, I mentioned how Dean Catherwood would be on pole position for the amateur category. I have been corrected thanks to those on the YouTube chat who let me know that of course it is not just the pro drivers that get reversed. The amateur drivers are also reversed. Plus, you have the pro drivers ahead of all the amateur drivers as well. So credit to the admins. I was saying this off air, but the speed at which they got this session up was very impressive. So well done to them for their efficiency out there. And yeah, so the answers are going to be reversed as well. So not as easy as what I thought it might be for Catherwood, especially considering he is going to be starting right in the kind of mires of kind of 25th position approximately, which is where we're seeing a lot of collisions happen on lap 1 so far. So will not be an easy race 3 victory for him whatsoever, albeit he has proven to be probably the most competitive amateur driver so far tonight. Just got a few more minutes to go. I wonder if you get the track temperature up, because it looks a little bit more overcast to me, DJ. It's 86 degrees Fahrenheit, which I think is actually a little bit warmer than what it was earlier on, because you can see it's now 2:30 in the afternoon, so a little bit less grip for the drivers out there, but still not too bad for them. I think that's just over 30 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, exactly. That falls right about in what I like to sort of call the Goldilocks zone of where you want to see it. Anywhere between about 80 to 92 degrees track temperature Fahrenheit. That is going to be absolutely perfect for these drivers. There's going to be just enough heat that after the first corner or two, you're not going to have to worry about really getting those tires up to temperature, and it will not have some massive degradation and really worry about overheating the tires too much and getting that track too slippery. So should be good conditions for the third race here at Okayama.
So we are about to get the grid up, and it is a reverse grid 12, so apologies once again for getting those wrong. So it's top 12 reversed. It's always top 12 reversed for the pros, top 6 reversed for the amateurs. So Chris Young up on top, just about was able to edge out Paul King in race 2, and how impressive or how important that has proven to be. He is ahead of Adam Wright, who's had a lot of problems tonight, right? But it's all kind of turned out quite well for him. He's up there in second place. There's Brian Loynes and also Tim Perry, Mark Woodhouse, Miguel Freitas, race 2 and race 1 winner, Ben Thane starting down in 12th place. Going to be a lot of overtakes he's going to have to pull off. I'm not fancying his chances, if I'm honest. Paul King is the only driver not on the grid. I don't think he's made it into the session, so there's going to be a blank space at number 13. Maybe annoyed they didn't get into the first grid. Here we go then. Young on the pole position. We are away racing for the final time here at Okayama. It's a poor start for Wright. He's already been overtaken by some 3 cars. Look at Woodhouse storm his way up. Woodhouse might even be into the lead. He absolutely came like a missile through the middle of everyone. Woodhouse already up 3 places, and he might even go up a 4th into turn 2, trying to get underneath his fellow countrymen as they head round the moss corners at the moment. Woodhouse just getting his nose ahead. I think he is well and truly ahead, heading into the back straight at the moment, but Young able to come back. A little bit of contact between the two of them as Loins tries to take advantage as well. So it's a poor start for Wright, good start for Flatson and Hussein as well, and a decent start as well for Hagen a little bit further back as Woodhouse is able to get back past then Young and is covering that inside line for all that he is worth. Is Young able to pull off the dummy? Is he able to break a little bit deeper into the hairpin? I think Woodhouse is going to have it cleared any which way, and so a miraculous start for the team man driver. He goes from 5th to 1st.
Yeah, absolutely stellar, and that move for the lead was really all precipitated by an absolutely beautiful over-under coming through the Atwood curve. Just a perfect setup there to be able to get that move done. Focusing back, this is Thomas Layson in a little bit of a battle here on that little mini straight in the middle of the lap. Layson diving it down to the inside, going through the hairpin of Redmond. Big lock up there in the back as they are able to keep everything relatively close together.
Yeah, lots of concertina effects. Ooh, wide goes Clays. It's been a good day for one of the Belgian drivers, not a good day for Clays, and he's really misjudged that relaunch, and he's in the wall. Ouch for Brian Clays. Shame for him. Further up, Ask with a strong start, up 3 places. Here's Ask, also Hussein making up another place. He's up 3 places. He's just got past Martin Crisp. That's an important move. Matthew Crisp, of course. Ask is off the circuit. He gained a few places actually there. Ask up 3 places, but he's just lost about 14 places with that one mistake. It's very close for the lead as well. Woodhouse ahead of Young, but Young is coming back, and this is almost role reversed from what we had 1 lap ago. I think Woodhouse has got the better exit here, but I doubt he's got enough speed to well and truly move ahead, because Young will be taking advantage of the small side draft that will be picking up. Woodhouse trying to cover off the inside. He can't quite. He knows that it would be really risky to swipe across his rival like that, and now it's Young, who did have pole position, who lost the race lead in the early stages, momentarily moving ahead. Woodhouse not giving up, and Wright as well trying to take advantage just behind. Look at Freitas going around the outside through Revolver, trying to take advantage of this, and this is really holding up a number of drivers. Well, Freitas go down the inside of the pair of them. He chose wisely not to on that occasion. And still Young having to battle it around the outside. Will he just understeer into his rival here to try to take back this position? I think he's got the upper hand here. He'll have the inside line for the next 2 corners. Excellent work there from Chris Young.
Very, very good work, as that was a battle that continues to rage here. Freitas just trying to see what he can have. Is behind that is Fletton, already up there into P4. He's going to have a little bit of a run, as that is Ben Thanes. Ben Thanes coming on pit lane.
I don't know what that could be about. Maybe, I know, wrong sets up, not quite sure. As here comes Freitas 3 wide. Can Wright even keep it on the check? He's already been off at turn 1 earlier on in the day. He doesn't go off on that occasion. He is dropping down the order right now. It's the BSTV esports driver. So Young leading the way. Freitas crucially up into 3rd. Flatton in 4th. And, well, he's battling with Hussein at the moment. Apologies, this is Hussein. Trying to go up the inside of Flatton. This would be a pivotal move if he could pull it off, because these two are 2 of the fastest drivers out on circuit. Hussein now trying to pick up the draft from Freitas, who's trying to pick up the draft from Woodhouse just ahead. Are there going to be any extra moves? I don't think Flatton's going to be able to do anything with this one. He's boxed in on the outside, albeit actually just moving across there was Flatton to cover it off as Woodhouse goes wide, and he is going to drop down below Freitas. Surely Young retakes the lead after an ambitious overtake there from Woodhouse. It hasn't worked out for him, and he drops another place behind his teammate.
He does indeed, and all of that battling has allowed for Wright to get passed by Flatten, as that's Hussein now trying to make the move on Woodhouse, going down into Redmond corner. They're going to be side by side, maybe a little bit of banging doors as they get in, definitely banging doors on corner exit. Oh, and that's Hussein and Woodhouse around.
Neither driver giving up an inch, and if they had done, maybe they would be doing a little bit better than they are now. Woodhouse, massive shame for him. Would have felt he could win the race, and doesn't even have steering down, certainly very shaky getting back underway. Massive shame for the car number 3. He wanted to win that race, and yeah, he has got a lot of damage on that machine. So that means that Wright is back up into 3rd, and that's a little bit of a setback, but it's great news for Flatten, because he's now only got 3 cars to pass, and I think he will feel confident that he's got the pace on all of them, trying to get the cutback on Wright. He's his first mission, and also good news for Crisp, he's up into 5th.
Is indeed, and Flatten really looking like he's got a lot more speed than Adam Wright as they work their way through the Moss S. He's going to try to go the long way around, now looking for a little bit of a crossover as they make their way coming up through the Atwood curve, and back behind them that's Tim, Perry, and Anderson side by side as well.
Yeah, it's a great move there from Perry. Came from a mile back to overtake Anderson. At least he's trying to overtake Anderson. As it's side by side for the lead, this is Freitas going the long way round. Young, I think he's got this one done. He will have comfortably the inside line into the next corner, and it's Freitas who leads the way. He's been a bit under the radar, but constantly up in that lead pack throughout tonight, and with the gap that he's got over Flatten, I think he is surely the favourite for the race win at the moment. Flatten was able to make that move stick on right now. Crisp is going to do the same thing into the hairpin, just forces Wright offline, and every corner that he stays behind this very bright green car, he is going to be losing time to Flatten as he gets a little bit shoved up, tries to cover off the attack from Anderson, has to get onto the brakes, I think, to avoid the rear wing, and clearly Crisp is not happy with that one. Felt like Wright should have left some more space on the outside.
Yeah, I think that one was a little bit of a questionable move there, unfortunately, as we focus back on Scott Malcolm, who finds himself at the top of the amateur standings. Hicks in between himself and the second place in the AMs. Layson make that 2 places in between as Naveed Hussein starts to work his way back through the field after that contact with Woodhouse.
And once again, thanks to everyone on YouTube watching along with this one. Fantastic viewing figures, 80 odd of you watching along. Do let us know what you think in the chat. And hello there, Dane. Good to have you along, our fellow commentators here at Apex Racing TV. As yeah, Malcolm doing extremely well at the moment, up there in 10th position after a couple of disappointing races earlier on, batting hard with Rainford at the moment, up 10 places. Is Malcolm escalated half the field so far. Is he able to stay ahead of the number 8? Very close to contact between the two of them. He's going to have to go some track extending, I think, to hold on to this. Rainford had the authoritative line there and gets ahead as yeah, Hussein will be next pass. I don't think that'll be any trouble for him. How is our race winner from earlier on getting on in the amateurs as that's another good move there from Hussein. Catherwood down in 29th place overall. Not a good race so far for Catherwood, and you can see the damage that he's accumulated.
Yeah, some damage to the car, definitely. You can see it there on the front. He is just in a little bit of management mode here. I feel like big bunch of brake lock up from in front of him. I'm not sure if somebody went wide or if that was just a little bit of a checkup, but Catherwood not having the same result that he had in the previous 2 races here.
That's an insane amount of smoke. Sounds like there's been like a bonfire or something around that part of the circuit, but everyone seems to have got away with it. 2 by 2, heading into turn 1. This is all contact. Bury the throttle. Still loses 3 places. And that was Jackson. He was perhaps the victim of that bit of contact, depending on what you think about it, as he nearly makes contact with Kuiper through turn 2. Bunch of amateur drivers all locked together across the amateurs being placed behind the pros for this race 3 of the evening. And then got Ben Thanes, who is surely going to lose the championship lead after this race, doing absolutely dreadfully down 29th place after having to come into the pits earlier on in lap 1. Ricardo Neto, who has had some excellent results in the amateur category so far tonight, and he is ahead of Calbert right there. That is good news there from Netze. He is up 4 places from the start. Calbert up 16 places, highest gain of anyone.
Yeah, really good run there from Calbert. He's going to be a little upset that Neto's been able to get by him, but I don't see too much of a fight back here. I think Calbert knows that Paul Netos has got a little bit more speed, maybe some contact there between the two, and I think his biggest concern is coming from behind in that 114 of Denier behind him. The UKNI driver just trying to fend him off a little bit. Oh, I lied. It looks like Calbert does want to get a little bit spicy here with Ricardo Neto, see if he can get anything going here.
Ooh,
very close.
I thought Leggett might be in the middle of the second. Sorry to interrupt you there, but I thought we were about to have an almighty crash because I thought he spun onto the circuit. Leggett's still spinning around, dearie me, that's ugly for him. And a shame after some decent top 20 results earlier on for James. Neto, what a move that is. What a move that is. Using all the track, using all the curb there. I don't think he's actually necessarily got it done though, because Calbert does not know when he's done. And yeah, some great driving from these guys at the moment, heading around this part of the circuit. That's wide 173 off the circuit. Calbert after a fantastic drive. That's his first mistake of this race 3, and he's going to drop a few places. Yeah, fighting over 1 place, and he drops a few more straight after. And this is Denier making progress out of all of this, picking up on the slow exit from Neto. And well, Neto way later on the brakes, and he somehow gets it stopped. The brakes on that machine, that was absolutely excellent. Neto, the Portuguese driver, stays in 18th place. I believe there was recently a change. I think Terrier Flatson, no, I'm not sure what change there was at the front, but there was some kind of change as contact with Roberts making contact with Ask.
Oh, and that's going to send Hakan Ask there around the outside of Redmond corner, really sending him offline. He's not going to be a big fan of that as Denier continues to fight there with Neto. A little bit of contact going through Mike Knight corner and not really able to get everything done as well as he would like to, but he's going to keep up the assault here and try to see if he can get anything on Neto.
Okay, I did see a change this time. Flatson up ahead of Young, up into 2nd place now is the Norwegian driver. So good news for him there. 1.2 seconds to catch up to Freitas. Can Denier get this one stuck on Neto? Oh, again there alongside the turn 1. Barely anything to split these guys for the past few laps. And once again, I mean, this is some of the best racing we've got in the entire field right now. Good, respectful stuff. You don't necessarily need to do this in TCR cars. You know, you can run the opponent off the track. As long as it's not into a wall, honestly, it's sort of fair game as long as you're alongside. But well, these guys are still being courteous, leaving each other over car's width whenever is possible. But it is losing them time, not settling this fight once and for all. And you can see the swarm of cars chasing them down, actually having their own fight just in the back. As Neto, once again, he's so deep on the bits. That time he's actually misjudged it a bit. He does have the inside for Revolver though, as well, that's an excellent line being taken, and all that gap that they had completely decimated. And now Neto with a bit of contact as well, he's going to drop a few places there, and that is the cost of having a duel like that. It just loses you time and puts you into the pack.
Yeah, and that's Szymanski and Goldebressen able to get by Paul Neto here. Just, I gotta say from Szymanski, that was a little bit close between himself and Neto. Neto getting a little bit sideways and not really able to hold on to the car as they now continue their way through the final corner. Neto gonna be trying to push his way back forward as much as possible.
You back in. So Flatson, not Flatson overtook Young. Oh yeah, he's just made a mistake actually on that last lap, Flatson. He lost 1 second. So he has just lost that 2nd place again. And he was on target to actually catch up to Freitas by the end of the race, had he kept up the pace that he was performing. Now, 2.6 seconds back with a car in between as well. I think the chances for Flatson to win this race are very low. So yeah, not sure if we can get a replay of what happened to him. Not sure if our event tracker picked that one up. But yeah, mistake on that last lap for Flatson with a 39.9, yeah, 1 second slower than Young. Right, yeah, actually lost more than a second, lost best part of 2 seconds last time out. Really disappointing stuff there for him. At least he's well clear of Wright, who's still keeping behind Chris. Well, great performance this has been from Wright to keep behind Matthew as a bit of a biff right there between Malcolm and Layton. In fact, that is for the amateur class lead. And I think these two were battling against each other back at Alton Park as well, if I recall correctly. Malcolm coming out on top on all of those fights, but Layton actually looks a bit faster in that last lap. He did lose a bit of time, but at least on this lap, he seems to be closing back again.
Yeah, and remember, Paul Malcolm and he, swapped back and forth, and Malcolm sort of had a way back at Alton Park of letting Layson by, figuring out some strategy, and then getting by him and just holding on to the lead. Malcolm, though, not looking as strong as he was here last time, so it'll be interesting to see how that happens, as this is Ben Hicks and Harris going at it side by side into the first corner. I think Damian Oman Harris has it, and indeed he does, as they make their way through Williams.
I've forgotten that Harris is in this race, if I'm honest. Of course, should be way further up the order. He is actually down 5 places. Harris had problems earlier on in the event. Also, a bit of a disappointing race too, honestly, to drop down to 6th position, I believe it was. As Flatson's back past Young again, so that's the second time he's made that move. And this time he needs to make sure he doesn't make a mistake. Right, still holding on against Matthew Crisp. But Crisp has got part of his car alongside, and once you got that part of the car alongside, you don't need a second invitation. And he was coming through, whether he likes it or not. Young is, I think, all right. I saw an off track for Young, but I think he's all right. Leggett, meanwhile, was the car stationary, and he's already a lap down and just trying to rejoin the circuit in a safe manner. But very tricky to do so with a front wheel drive car. Very tricky to turn the car in the right direction right there. But yeah, Young is all right. Freitas 2.2 seconds out in the lead.
Yeah, indeed, he is, as they work their way around here. Freitas just really holding on to this the best that he can. That 2.2 second gap back to Flatten with only about 3.5 minutes to go. Near unassailable, but that doesn't mean that he is not going to try to hold on to it, as Flatten was about 0.3 of a second faster on that last lap. So Freitas has really just got to focus here and not make any mistakes.
I wonder if we'll have one less lap than what we have been having so far tonight. We only got the one extra lap by 10 seconds in race 2, and that was a Leicester flag victory by one of the fast drivers on track. Now Freitas is very quick himself, but I think maybe if the track has got a bit warmer, maybe we'll just fall short, which of course would be ideal for Freitas. He wants this race to end immediately, so there's less room for Flatson to make up the gap. Calbert, oh no, he made this mistake earlier on. Oh, he just keeps it on track this time. Wow, that was close. And just blowing away a little bit of dirt there back onto the gravel trap. That was as close as it gets. 3 wide, just behind. Ben Thane's trying to regain some positions. He's the car on the outside, much faster than these guys. He'll pick late as anything. Oh no, contact. And all gets very messy actually there for Thanes. That was contact with Neto right there, and Stevenson was the big beneficiary. As now more contact, that's Jackson for the second time in this race, having contact from behind.
Yeah, and Ben Thane's really just a hapless passenger there around the outside of the hairpin corner, but he is at least able to hold on and be in 18th position. He will now try to focus his way on Paul Neto. There is Rob Jackson. Good job for him coming out of Piper to be able to get that car resorted and back into line nice and easy.
As Szymanski, nearly making contact with Calbert. Right there, very close still for the amateur race lead, by the way. Malcolm just ahead of Layton's, half a second splits those two a bit. No sign of a move at the moment. This is more likely to be a move. Crisp up ahead of Anson, up ahead of Wright. In fact, I think Anson just made that move on Wright on that last lap. At least their lap times do suggest that. Look at that, great train of cars, so many different liveries as well being represented. Hussein at the rear of it, and he's arguably the quickest out of all of these guys, so could still make up a few more places. Could now beat Hussein, who made a lot of overtakes in race 2 and race 3 on the media day back at Alton Park. Crisp though is able to get away from Anson. Anson, another experienced TCR driver, and yeah, a bit under the radar as well himself. But he's up 4 places from his start, and he's not allowing the British driver to get away.
Yeah, good job here. We're going to have to focus a little bit on the line to see if we are going to have 1 lap to go, if they're going to finish it out here as they work their way around. This is Denyer trying to get past Roberts as they make their way on that little itty-bitty straight going down into Redmond Corner.
Here they come to the line. Now, the checker flag can be a bit glitchy, but we are going to get 1 more to go. Do remember a race at Silverstone AOSC where it was a 4-hour event and we crossed the line 6 seconds over the 4 hours, and another lap was forced, and the leading car ran out of fuel on that last lap, and I still think they were absolutely robbed of what would have been a miraculous race victory of fuel saving. Yeah, I always get very touchy ever since that day a couple of years ago. I don't think Freitas is going to run out of fuel. I think he's absolutely fine out in the lead at the moment. Ben Thanes trying to recover just another place. It's another point for him if he can beat Jackson. And despite that real points haul that he got in race 1 and race 2, he will really want that as Jackson spinning around and he hits Thanes, who's going to have wheel damage, and he might make more contact here into another car. That's Jackson, and Thanes hard into the wall. He won't even be able to get that thing to the line, and that's a really disappointing end to a 2-time winner from tonight.
Absolute heartbreak there for Thanes. Really just some standard TCR argy-bargy, and that sends him spinning around with a domino effect very hard into the wall, and as you said, that is day done and dusted for him.
A few damage cards to Jackson as he's still going to an absolute mare in this race. I think Catherwood will be able to beat him out in the lead. Freitas is approaching the line. Here he comes, final corner. It's all comfortable for him. Really good drive from Freitas in race 1 and race 2. Race 3, from a fantastic start, and from 6th on the grid, the Portuguese driver takes the win for Team Mad. Great work. Flatson in 2nd place, and Young making it a Hyundai 1, 2, 3. Top of the arms was Scott Malcolm, delivering on the promise of the media day, and him and Leyson's making up some important points there on Catherwood. He was a bit further down in the amateur field. Good work there from the Scottish driver, still one of the favourites, I'm sure, for the amateur title this season. And yeah, just looking back at between 4th and 10th, separated by just 3.5 seconds, so 7 drivers really close in the back end of that top 10. So, you know, Thanes was ever so strong in those first 2 races, and, you know, maybe I was a bit complacent earlier on. I was saying how important race 1 was, and of course race 1 is very important, but I mean, it's obvious to say all the races count, and that is a heartbreaking way for Thanes' day to end. Everything went wrong for him, and well, to finish outside the top 30 is, you know, that's a huge hemorrhage of points gone. I mean, in a short season, I repeat it again, only 15 races. To have a race like that is really going to set you back.
Yeah, it certainly is, and he is not going to be happy about it, but we have seen what you can do when you've got a little bit of an offset, as Flatten obviously able to move his way up through the field, and that is to take absolutely nothing away from Miguel Freitas, who just drove an incredible race out here today, being able to hold on. I think for Flatten, though, he would have wished that this could have gone on for 1 or 2 more laps, as he may have even been able to taste that top step glory once everything was said and done.
Well, thanks to Ignium Motorsports JB for letting us know that Flatson had a slowdown. So you question if it weren't for that slowdown, which honestly lost him 1.8 seconds. I think he did 39.9 when I think previous to that he'd been in the low 38s. You know, if he lost 1.8 seconds there, you do the maths, and he could have caught by the end. So Terrier, considering how bad his race 1 though was, I think to get a couple of podiums out tonight, I think that's not bad for him, especially considering that no one else really scored a perfect round. Freitas there with the race win. Young in 3rd place. He did really well to hang on to those paces, did the Ignium Motorsports Spark driver. Crisp just took a bit too long to get past Adam Wright, and that denied him a chance at a podium. He finished in 4th. There's Anderson. Wright, who did do well, drove well in that race 3, good result for him. Perry, Hagen, Loynes and Rainford. Top of the amateurs were Malcolm, Leyson and Denyer, which is a bit more like what we saw on the media day. Catherwood, after carrying contact for the entire race, 20 seconds off Malcolm, but still, I believe at least, the high scorer tonight in the amateur category. We won't have any points to bring you today, but of course, do check out the Sim Racers World Instagram page, SRW_series. If you're on Instagram, do check that out. I imagine they'll post the points up on there if you want to keep an eye on what's happening in the championship. And of course, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time as well. But before we sign off or anything, we do have some interviews with some of the drivers. Unfortunately, no one is having a chat with us at the moment. No one likes us, which is a bit of a shame. But it gives us an opportunity, DJ, to talk about the next round of the championship. It is Imola next time out, which was the round that stood out to me at the start of this season. All the other rounds were very predictable. Yep, of course they're going to go to there. Imola, a bit of a different choice, but one that I'm really looking for. So I love to drive around Imola. Yeah, it's just such a picturesque circuit. Nice new graphics for iRacing as well. It's only a few years old. So yeah, that'll be a great host for round 3.
It certainly will, and as we've seen, you know, some of these tracks that's a little bit more like Oulton Park, where overtaking not exactly the easiest. I think we're going to see a lot of good overtaking going down into Tamburello. We've seen the draft be pretty effective in these TCRs, and pretty much across the board. It's going to set up for a great race. As you say, it's really going to test drivers. These TCRs carrying a lot of weight and momentum on the crossway to the chassis, going through corners like Aqua Minerale. We're going to see a lot of heavy aggression, I think, as you've got to really force your way by. And I think we're going to see some more contact like we've seen, because I think drivers are learning that you've got to get your elbows out if you want to finish farther and farther up in this field.
I don't like to talk about it too much because I think it's a pretty rubbish element of motorsports on a whole. But track limits around Imola is going to be a tricky thing, especially in these cars which deal with the curbs so well. I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I mean, there's got to be 3, 4, 5 places where you can pick up a slowdown fairly easy. I imagine in practice that's going to be something that the drivers are really going to have to learn well, get some discipline on those white lines.
Yeah, for sure. The first 2 chicanes going through Tamburello and Villeneuve, those are going to be very tricky to make sure you don't cut the chicanes themselves. Also, running wide at the exit of Piratella is a big area where you can pick that up. And I think one of the biggest areas we're going to see it, though, is going up the top of the hill into Variante Alta. That is going to be very tricky, as these cars can really clobber some curbing. And going up and through right there, that is going to be an area where I've seen a lot of slowdowns, and I think we're going to see some slowdowns when we get there in 2 weeks' time.
We haven't got any drivers in for a chat with us, but I think we're going to be able to have a chat with Danielle Guiducci, who joins us in the commentary box now. Danielle, it's fantastic to have you in the commentary box out here. Of course, one of the admins for this series. What's your assessment of round 1?
Well, it was way better than our expectation. Really great racing, not many lap 1 incidents, which is something we were scared of. And I would say really fair racing between everybody and a close field. Hope everybody watching enjoyed the race tonight.
Was there anything that you emphasized to the drivers before this round about what to kind of watch out for?
Yeah, we told them that they had to be careful. We were watching closely on lap 1 incidents, and they will be penalized a little bit harshly. Just this is because a race is never won in lap 1, turn 1, and this provides everybody a chance to race close, be together, and be fair to each other. And apparently all the talks really worked this time. We're happy with it.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, certainly from where we were watching it, it looked really clean out there on the most part. You know, contacts, but racing incident contacts, really. It was all very good to see. When it comes to kind of the competitive element of it, this championship looks close. I mean, in your experience of league administration, have you ever kind of organised such a closely fought championship? Because, you know, there's about 10 drivers in both the Pro and the Am who seem to be challenging for the title.
and this is my first ever league organized, but I've been racing TCR before, and I know most of the drivers around. All the pro guys are basically have a chance to win in every single race. We have pretty well-known names in the community, especially like the Ignum guys, Damien, and all the others that are in the pro are really, really strong. Flemish also, they are really, really strong. And also in the ARM, we need to be looking at, we have some veterans and some others that can push the boundaries, can challenge some pros, and then can create some good racing around there.
Next up, we've got Imola on the schedule. At least I was, and I think DJ as well was a little bit surprised maybe to see Imola on the calendar. What was the logic to include that circuit?
Well, it's a bit of patriotic choice of being an Italian. Plus, I really love Imola is a really technical track where the driver will make a difference. There is a lot of nice places to have close racing like Acque Minerali, Variante Alta, the chase down to the main Rettifilo going to Tamburello, or coming down into the Rivazza is going to be a really interesting spots for people to try and get a move on and be respectful and have a really good racing.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a really good choice for yourself, and the rest of the calendar looks really fun as well. Is there anyone else that you'd kind of like to give a shout out to before we let you go, Danielle?
We would like to shout out to every single one participating, all the drivers, you guys in the com doing an amazing job, allowing us to enjoy all the racing. Our sponsor, Simutec, and all the guys that put me in the race control, Ivo, Paul, and Bart, because without them we couldn't be doing this series. And hope what we're achieving is really beautiful and enjoyable for everyone.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming up and having a chat with us, Danielle, and yeah, best of luck for the rest of the season, and keep up the good work.
Yeah, see you in 2 weeks' time.
League admin there, Danielle Guiducci, talking to us right there. Great to see, or great to get some insights into the championship. DJ, would you like to take an interview?
I would indeed. Let's get our winner here of that final round. Miguel Freitas popping up into the booth. Miguel, really good run. You just were able to really kind of dominate there in that final race. Talk us through what it was like behind the sim.
It was kind of crazy, not going to lie. The field was very close. Everyone was bunched up, and I guess I was the lucky one in all of those fights. I managed my way through clean and ended up with a big gap that I just had to manage the tires in the last half of the race, so it was quite nice. After those first two races, which were even more crazy from my point of view because I was in the middle of the pack. So yeah, pretty fun.
Well, it looked pretty fun, and I have to ask you, how much were you looking at your relative in those final 2-3 laps when Flatten was able to get by Young and start closing that gap down in on you? Were you worried that he was going to catch you, or did you think you had it all covered off?
Yeah, I think I was looking more at the relative than to the track in front of me. So yeah, I was very worried. I knew that if he managed to catch me, he would overtake with not that many problems because he looked very fast today.
Well, he looked fast, but you were faster out there on the day. We head to a different kind of circuit. We've been talking about it a lot. Imola, not really what you would expect here for running these TCRs. Are you looking forward to it? Are you a little bit scared? How you feeling about it?
A little bit of both. I like the track. I don't think I've driven that much the TCR there, so it will be a discovery process, but I think it should be fine. Everyone fighting through those corners will be a little bit scary, but we'll manage it.
Well, I love that attitude. That's exactly, frankly, how I would feel about it if I were in your shoes, Miguel. But a great race and a great win here in this third race of the day. Anybody you want to thank?
All the guys in the team and all the organizers and yeah, everyone that is involved on this league, which is making it pretty fun. It was the first round and it was the most fun I had in a while, so looking forward for the rest of the season.
We love to hear that. That was Miguel Freitas, your winner here in the Pro Division. And I'll throw it back to you, Sam.
Yeah, I think we should have time for one more interview. Scott Malcolm now joins us in the commentary box. Congratulations, Scott. We'll take it race by race. We'll get to the high points in a moment in race 3. But race 1 was a tricky one for you, and it did set you back for the first 2 races. I believe a lap 1 incident, if I recall correctly. Could you take us through it from your perspective?
Oh, it was just one of these lap 1 incidents. I think I kind of got squeezed in between 2 cars or something like that. The third corner, and it's just one of these things that happens in the first league race a season.
Yeah, it's very understandable. But your race 2 looked pretty strong from at least where we were watching. I think you got up into the top or maybe just on the outskirts of the top 20, which seemed pretty good. And then, well, let's just jump to the race 3. I mean, it was a really good start. I think you were up 10 places at one point. How were you able to make so many overtakes?
I had to work extremely hard for that one. I don't think the Audi's too keen on this track, but that was tough. That was really, really tough going to get that. That wasn't like last week. There's no way that was anywhere like last week. But this is going to be a lot tougher, I think.
Definitely. And next up, we head to Imola. Then we got to Knock Hill. So you got Knock Hill to look forward to in 4 weeks' time. But first up, we got to go to Imola. What do you think of that circuit? And do you think the Audi will be strong around that track?
I think the Audi possibly could be. I don't know. I've never tried it against the other cars, so I don't know. They're all going to be tough tracks. They're all going to be tough tracks for everybody, not just me, not just the Audi drivers. But it's going to be tough tracks for everybody. There's going to be tracks that's going to suit other cars. Like, I know he's all going about, not killing that, but the Audi is just forget it. Not kill. It just is virtually non-existent. I think it'll be either a Hyundai or it'll definitely be a Hyundai driver that wins it. Definitely, even in the ARM category.
We wish you the best of luck for Imola, of course, next time, Scott, and of course for the rest of the championship. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
It's just going to be the usual crowd. Some Races Worlds for putting on this series. You guys for taking time out to comment on this, and all the rest of the drivers. Team Mad as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Scott, and yeah, see you back in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, I'll wait for Lyde in there.
See you then, Scott.
Catch you later.
Scott Malcolm then finishing top of the drivers in race 3, and I think we'll be fairly close to the top of the amateur championship after tonight. So that is pretty much it for us tonight here in the Simutec Motorsport TCR Winter Series. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time for the next round of the championship, round 2 of the championship at Imola. Of course, there's plenty more action coming up on Apex Racing TV. In particular, next week we have got the second round of the Sim Racers World IMSA Winter Series. That was a really good round. 100-minute races round Road Atlanta. Lots of, well, let's say controversy last time out. But a lot of lead changes and a lot of action in those 3 different classes. So do make sure to check out that one. But there's lots of other series starting back up again in the new year. We've got the new season of the ARL GT3 Pro Trophy. We've got the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. We've got ARA F3 starting back again. We've got Apex Racing League Touring Car Britain actually starting up next week as well. Got the official series in the Radical and 3.5. Got IGP Fun. So much stuff coming up over the next few weeks on Apex Racing 2. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and do check out our social media pages on Instagram, Twitter. And we'll see you back in a couple of weeks' time at Imola. See you then.